Okay, guys, calm down. It's happening.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody, stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm.
Whew. Okay, I made it, guys. Hello, good morning, afternoon, or evening. Intel here. I'm late, I know. The Nintendo Switch DOS Direct was several days ago by the time you're seeing this, but I was literally in another state taking part in training for my job. I swear, Nintendo just loves to drop these directs while I'm at work. It never fails. I'm here now, though. It's okay. Everyone can put their pitchforks down. I watched the direct, and now it's time to run through it and give you all my honest reactions and thoughts. I'm going to go over all the announcements and reveals that Nintendo gave us about the new console and the new games coming along with it, and I'll also skim over some stuff and go more in depth on other things. Some of these announcements were absolutely wild, and other elements were not so wild.
Hello, I like money.
Let's dive in, shall we? Oh my lord, we are starting out with a bang! Oh my god! We finally get a full, proper first look at the brand new Mario Kart game that was briefly teased during the first Switch 2 showcase. Yeah, the game that we saw like 5 seconds of. And it's not called Mario Kart 9, which I was kind of surprised about. Instead, it's called Mario Kart World. They're done with the numbers, I guess, so rip to that. But anyway, oh my lord, this game looks absolutely insane. 24 racers, outfits, speedboats, planes. You can literally play as anyone or anything. Like, why be Mario or Yoshi when you could be a cow? There's also a part where Birdo goes into a freaking truck and turns into it. What in the absolute world, get it, is going on? Okay, let me calm down. From what's explained to us, this new Mario Kart's main gimmick is that the courses are all in different regions from across the globe, which is really interesting. It'll also introduce weather conditions and time of day, which tells me we're going to get a crap ton of possibilities for how to approach courses. And you can drive off the track and go anywhere? Bro, I don't need to watch the rest of this. I'm sold already. We're getting the classic Grand Prix, because why wouldn't we? But now we gotta drive to each new course as part of the competition? They're making us work for first place this time around. Wow. There's new modes coming too, like Knockout Tour, which has you racing non-stop from one corner of the world to another. Free roam mode, which just, yeah, Nintendo, I'm already gonna buy this game. You don't have to convince me. Wow, this is going to be a launch title for the Switch 2, and there's a bundle coming where you can get the new system and a digital copy of the game in one package, and it's coming on June 5th? That's only like 2 months away. Sweet, that's awesome, dude. All of this is so awesome. That's not so awesome. Yeah, it wasn't long before Nintendo got pretty nasty backlash on this. Not only is the system itself going to be 450 big ones, but Mario Kart World is going to be $80. That's almost a Benjamin. That's actually insane. I remember being shocked about Tears of the Kingdom being $70 when it launched, and I thought that was outrageous. Then Nintendo pulled the oh my beer. I am certainly not happy about this, and I have a lot to say. However, I won't get into that right now, since I'll be going over my thoughts on this sort of stuff once we cover everything announced during this direct. Moving on. We are getting an additional direct in just a couple weeks talking more about this new Mario Kart, so we have that to look forward to, I guess. Time for a showcase on the actual Switch 2. What does this new console have to offer compared to its older brother? Well, it has new advanced Joy-Cons with a C button on the right Joy-Con. Sorry, they're called Joy-Con 2s. Silly me. That's totally not going to get confusing. And no, I am not calling them that either. I will not. We're also getting in-game chat. Cool, Nintendo finally caught up to Xbox. All jabs aside, this is a fantastic feature to have now, especially if you're not super active on platforms like Discord, and you don't have to be right up close to your Switch 2 for it to pick up your voice. I like that. I like that a lot. Besides the laggy screen sharing. Okay, that's like really bad lag. Why are you showcasing lag, Nintendo? Anyway, that's what the new C button is for. Neat! And of course, you need Nintendo Switch Online for this. Seriously? For a game chat? I swear, dude, the love-hate relationship I am forming for this company right now is heating up. But it is free until March 2026, so that's at least better. We're also getting Game Share, where you can play one game on 2 or more systems, similar to how you could do that with your DS. Mario Kart DS is pretty famous for that feature, so it's cool seeing it come back with this new console. This thing also has a bigger screen, higher resolution and quality, and the games can now go up to, wow, And the Joy-Cons now attach magnetically instead of having to slide them into slots. I do like that as well. There was nothing I hated more than accidentally sliding the Joy-Con in wrong on my original Switch and messing things up. I swear, I almost broke mine a couple times doing that. There's bigger buttons too, which is definitely a plus here, and mouse controls, so that's pretty cool. And we finally have a proper stand. Good. The old one is trash. And more storage. 256 gigabytes is not as much as I would like, but it's certainly better than the original Switch's storage. That thing could barely fit like one game on there, I swear. And the new dock has 4K support. It's good to see Nintendo finally catching up to other consoles that have had this kind of stuff for a while, but better late than never. And like they teased before, it's going to be backwards compatible with older Switch games, which is huge. So overall, this new console is pretty rad and serves as not just a remastered Switch, but from the ground up remake that outclasses the old Switch in every way. So color me excited. I definitely want to get this thing. Okay, so what's next? A tutorial game that I have to pay for? Pass. No. Next. Fine, I'll at least touch on this, but seriously, get out of here, Nintendo. I am not paying for a tech demo. Who in their right mind would spend money on this? The tech demo in question is the Switch 2 Welcome Tour, and it teaches you about what the Switch 2 can do. The presentation does look cool and all, but I am not paying money for what is basically a glorified tutorial. I can figure this out on my own, and that way I won't be paying any more money than I already have, because I've spent it all already on the system itself. Good lord. Moving on, the game cards are basically the same. You can transfer your data from your old Switch, and there's a new Switch 2 Pro controller, yada yada. The next thing I want to touch on, though, is the Nintendo Switch 2 editions of certain games that are coming. Now, these are interesting. For example, Super Mario Party Jamboree is getting this treatment, and it isn't just a port. It has new features and modes along with better resolution, so if you didn't get the game before, this new version certainly gives you the incentive to get it now. And if you already own the original game, you don't have to buy the game again, but you can buy an upgrade pack to get the new Switch 2 version. Bruh! The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are both getting the Switch 2 version treatment as well, and if you already own those games, you don't have to buy them again, but as I said earlier, you'll need upgrade packs for those games too. Because of course you do. Kirby and the Forgotten Land is part of this as well, along with the DLC, and we see more Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, and a glimpse of the new Pokemon game, ZA. Neat. So what's this? A futuristic wheelchair basketball game with robots called Dragon Drive?
Interesting tactic.
After this, we get some announcements on other games you can play on the Switch 2, like Elden Ring, Hades 2, Street Fighter 6, and this game that's a big mouthful, Split Fiction, and Madden? Yo! Hogwarts Legacy is making its way onto the Switch 2, something I did not expect at all. That's pretty dope. There's also Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, Hitman, World of Assassination, Project 007, Bravely Default Flying Fairy, and Yakuza 0 Director's Cut. So a pretty solid third-party lineup. So wait, what's next?
Whoa. Whoa! What? Whoa!
A Tears of the Kingdom Hyrule Warriors game? Where did this come from, bro? What? Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. A Hyrule Warriors game where you can play as the characters we see in the ancient past during Zelda's memories in Tears of the Kingdom. Now this is something I can get behind. We barely saw any of the ancient past in Tears of the Kingdom, and it was sorely lacking from the main narrative of the game. I'm so stoked that we actually get to experience it and be part of the imprisoning war that leads up to Ganon's imprisonment. Sign me up, man. What a very pleasant surprise. The gameplay looks very similar to Age of Calamity, but with new features and characters. Like, Rauru and Zelda have this really cool looking team-up move, and it's sick, along with Rauru using his Ultra Hand powers to take out tons of enemies. This game looks so cool. I want it. A lot of you know how much of a Zelda junkie I am, and I'm especially excited that we're going to see a proper, good look at the ancient past we didn't see much of in Tears of the Kingdom, and finally connect a lot of dots that were super disconnected before. Another thing I want to talk about before we carry on is that the trailer specifically states that this game is the story that leads into Tears of the Kingdom, which is a really interesting detail. As I'm sure some of you know, a lot of people thought Age of Calamity was going to be the story that led into Breath of the Wild, but it ends up turning into its own non-canon spin-off that does not match Breath of the Wild's events whatsoever. This doesn't look like it's going to be the case with Age of Imprisonment, though. This looks like an actual prequel to Tears of the Kingdom. But, I mean, it might not be, but who knows. And it's coming this winter. Count me in. And, oh cool, we get to finally play GameCube games via Nintendo Switch Online. Nintendo still will not give us Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD on Switch, but you sure can play an emulated port of the original via online. Seriously, man, sometimes this company is absolutely brilliant, and other times I wonder if zero brain power is being used at all. There's other games like Soul Calibur 2, F-Zero GX, once again Nintendo refuses to make a new F-Zero game for whatever reason, but I digress, and other things, whatever, GameCube ports. They are offering us an updated Bluetooth GameCube controller, which I'm sure they'll charge like $100 for, but whatever, it's nice, I guess. Oh my god. For a lot of people, this was the magnum opus of the entire Direct. Deltarune is making its way onto the Nintendo Switch with 2 new chapters to play. That's awesome. Toby Fox has come such a long way, and it's super surreal seeing his projects being showcased in an official Nintendo Direct. It was already iconic seeing Sans in Smash, even though it was just a Mii skin, but now Toby is getting full-on showcases for Deltarune. It's wholesome. Big thumbs up. I definitely need to play Undertale again and get caught up on Deltarune. Possible game review on that, anyone? Definitely possible if the demand is high enough, wink wink. Now we're back to third-party stuff. Borderlands 4, Civilization 7, some sports stuff, and survival kids. Cool. And a fun-looking space game called Starseeker Astroneer Expedition. Neat. Cyberpunk 2077 is finally making its way onto the Switch 2, and it makes me wonder how buggy it'll be on there. Can't wait to watch all the bugs while I'm riding in the car. Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now that's cool to see coming to Switch 2. Along with that, we've got a barrage of games coming as well, such as Hollow Knight Silksong, which is something I heard people were quite excited for, Star Wars Outlaws, and of course, Fortnite, because that game finds its way into every single system it comes into contact with. There were more games teased as well, but those were some of the main ones. Next up was a trailer for the Duskbloods, a reveal for Kirby Air Ride 2, and finally, a brand new 3D Donkey Kong game, Donkey Kong Bonanza. Now that was something I did not expect. When was the last time we got a new DK game that wasn't a port? And that was the Direct. A lot of cool announcements and a nice look at what the Switch 2 will offer in terms of content and performance. Lots of third-party titles to choose from, along with awesome upcoming first-party games to look forward to. The new Mario Kart game looks amazing, Hyrule Warriors looks dope, and the fact we're finally getting a new Donkey Kong game and Deltarune on Switch 2 is all fantastic. Big thumbs up there. Now, the elephant in the room, as I mentioned earlier, the prices. Now, look, I get it. Inflation is a thing. These games aren't cheap to make and produce, and everyone involved behind the production needs to get paid for their work. That's why it's such a devastation when something flops, because if something loses money, a lot of people don't get paid. That's how it is in the movie industry, and it's no different with games. However, games have been $60 for a long time, since like the early 2000s. Along with that, Nintendo has been notorious for taking old games and porting them on the new systems and charging full price. A big example of this is when they released the limited edition Super Mario 3D All-Stars, which had Super Mario 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy on it. The problems with this release were aplenty. 3D World and Galaxy 2 were weirdly missing, and the games themselves weren't even remastered ports. They were emulated ports with very slight tweaks to the resolution and button mapping. It was the laziest, most egregious collection Nintendo has ever released, and it was charged at full price. And that isn't the only time they've taken old games, ported them, and charged them at full price. A lot of people were not happy about this, especially with it being limited. Then, Nintendo revealed that they were charging $70 for Tears of the Kingdom, which made people even more upset. The consensus was a fear that $70 games were going to become the standard, and with the economy being the way it was at the time and the way it is now, people are struggling more and more to keep up with the price of everything, and paying $10 to $20 more on new games compared to a price that's been the standard for the last 20 years, it's not something a lot of people are going to put up with. I hope Nintendo backpedals on charging $80 for the new Mario Kart, because that is a ridiculous price. That's almost the price a company would charge for a premium or collector's edition of a game, not a new release base game. On top of that, physical copies of games are basically gone. The game cards, at least some of them now, according to what I've read and heard, are basically just game keys, and you'll have to download the game to your system after the game card is inserted. What the crap? Who is making these decisions, man? Nintendo needs a serious overhaul. This is bad. If they double down on this and make this the way they continue going forward, this company is not going to last much longer. Anywho, backlash on this has been insane, and it's a disaster for Nintendo. People are not happy with this, to the point where their streams as of right now have people spamming in the live chat to drop the price. This is serious, and Nintendo has a big decision to make. Do they scale this back and drop the price and take a bit of a revenue hit, or do they ignore the backlash and keep the price, which will certainly not end well for them? There's fears now that they might actually increase the prices to keep up with the market, which, if they do that, yeah, rest in peace. There's no coming back from that. And just to add some context, the high prices are everywhere. It's not just here in America. The price for the system and its games are crazy high all over the world, except Japan, because of course. It's crazy, and all of these new Switch 2 versions of older games like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are $70 as well, even up to $80. It's such a shame to see this, because I really do love Nintendo. I grew up with Nintendo games. Now it seems like they're falling to the greed category, and I don't want to see my childhood video game company turning into that. I really hope they walk back some of this and tone down the pricing. $450 for a new system is already expensive as all get out, but charging this much for new content and old content as well is crazy. Do better, Nintendo. You're going to start losing a lot of your players simply due to the fact they can't afford to keep up with your new releases. I gotta pay the bills, man. I won't have nearly enough money left over to buy your new products if this keeps up. And I'm sure that sentiment is shared by a lot of people. And that's my breakdown and thoughts on the new Switch 2 Direct. What did you guys think? What are your thoughts on the games, new and old, coming to this new system? And how do you feel about the pricing? Am I just overreacting a bit, or am I justified on thinking it's a bit much? Let me know down in the comments, and if you enjoyed this different kind of video compared to other forms of media. Next up, I'm probably reviewing the Minecraft movie. Oh boy. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like and share it around with all of your friends to help this channel grow. Spread the word, and subscribe today to become a fellow intellectual, like me, and everyone else here. You're always welcome. Have a good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone. Peace!